Sophia Amoruso, the successful owner of popular brand Nasty Gal, tells the story of her road to becoming a Girlboss. She aims to teach you how to learn from your own mistakes and from other people's mistakes, to help you realize when to quit and when to ask for more, to encourage you to ask more questions and when to either follow the rules or rewrite them. A guide to becoming a boss from a woman's perspective that is equally relevant in the man's world. So you want to be a Girlboss? A Girlboss is someone who's in charge of her own life. She gets what she wants because she works for it. As a Girlboss, you take control and accept responsibility. You're a fighter. You know when to throw punches and when to roll with them. Sometimes you break the rules, sometimes you follow them, but always on your own terms. You know where you're going, but can't do it without having some fun along the way. You value honesty over perfection. You ask questions. You take your life seriously, but you don't take yourself too seriously. You're going to take over the world and change it in the process. You're a badass. One question everything too. Abandon anything about your life and habits that might be holding you back. 3. Learn to create your own opportunities. Capitalism isn't a scam, it's a kind of alchemy. You combine hard work, creativity, and self-determination, and things start to happen. And once you start to understand that alchemy, or even just recognize it, you can begin to see the world in a different way. Shitty jobs, the shitty jobs make the good ones more meaningful. Most people don't land their dream job right out of the gate, which means we all have to start somewhere. You'll appreciate your amazing career so much more when you look back at your not-so-amazing jobs in the past, and hopefully realize that you learned something from all. 2 of them, these shitty jobs will give you perspective and a diversity of experience. You need to be willing to roll up your sleeves and get the job done, even if it's a shitty one. There ain't no shame in that game. It's unfortunate that school is so often regarded as a one-size-fits-all kind of deal. And if it doesn't fit, you're treated as if there is something wrong with you, so it is you, not the system, which is failing. We should acknowledge that school isn't for everyone. So Girlboss, if you suck at school, don't let it kill your spirit. It does not mean that you are stupid or worthless, or that you are never going to succeed at anything. It just means that your talents lie elsewhere, so take the opportunity to seek out what you're good at and find a place where you can flourish. Once you do, you're going to kill it. Playing by the rules. Rules surround all that we do, and no one, no matter how saintly she may seem, follows all of them. You should choose to obey explicit rules, like, paying for something before you leave the store. But the rules that society implies we follow, well, those are the rules you can have fun breaking. Balance. Figure out how to balance work and a personal life. When you freelance, if you don't build structure for yourself, you feel like you always have to be working, and it's exhausting. This is a constant struggle for every freelance career girl. Make a schedule for yourself that incorporates time for phone calls to catch up with your family and friends, exercise, dinners, therapy, parties, texting, social networking, and the work that's gonna get you paid to maintain the lifestyle you so desire. Create boundaries and structure. You have to be your own parent. Money looks better in the bank than on your feet in many ways. Money spells freedom. If you learn to control your finances, you won't find yourself stuck in jobs, places, or relationships that you hate just because you can't afford to go elsewhere. Learning how to manage your money is one of the 3 most important things you'll ever do. Being in a good spot financially can open up so many doors. Being in a bad spot can slam them in your face. And being broke gets old, so start making smart decisions now to avoid paying for stupid ones later. Bills, sadly, are not an ignore it and it goes away problem. If you've been getting an overdue notice from the cable company every 2 weeks for the last 3 months, and all of a sudden it stops coming, that does not mean that they've gotten over you and moved on to someone else. Big companies are like the mob. They never forget, they never give up, and they always get their money. Get them before they get you. Pay up and pay on time. Here's a tip. Treat your savings account like just another bill. It has to be paid every month or there are consequences. If you have direct deposit, have a portion of your paycheck automatically diverted into a savings account. Once it's in there, forget about it. You never saw it anyway. It's an emergency fund only. If you're tempted to buy something, just imagine that those new shoes were actually made out of crisp $20 bills. Do those $20 bills look good getting dirty on the sidewalk? No, they do not. That's because money looks better in the bank than on your feet. The power of magical thinking, there's the everyday kind of magic that we make for ourselves. And that's really not magic at all. It's just recognizing the fact that we control our thoughts and our thoughts control our lives. This is an extremely simple, totally straightforward concept, but for a lot of people, it's so alien that it might as well be magic. You get back what you put out, so you might as well think positively. Focus on visualizing what you want instead of getting distracted by what you don't want, and send the universe your good intentions so that it can send them right back. Visualization works when we actually get off our asses and do stuff. How totally crazy is that? Each time you make a good decision, or do something nice, or take care of yourself, each time you show up to work and work hard and do your best at everything you can do, you're planting seeds for a life that you can only hope will grow beyond your wildest dreams. Take care of the little things, even the little things that you hate, and treat them as promises to your own future. Soon you'll see that fortune favors the bold who get shit done. Treat your thoughts like your dollar bills. Don't waste them. 4. Focus on the positive things in your life, and you'll be shocked at how many more positive things start happening. But before you start to think you just got lucky, remember that it's magic, and you made it yourself. It's okay to be an introvert. Much of the world, from school to the workplace, is set up to reward extroverts, and therefore it can be easier for introverts to feel overlooked, or as if they don't measure up. For instance, even if you know all the answers but don't want to call attention to yourself by raising your hand, you might end up feeling, or being perceived as, less smart than the kids flailing their arms to get the teacher's attention. Same goes for work. Just remember, as Susan Cain writes in Quiet, there's zero correlation between being the best talker and having the best ideas. In business, a disproportionate amount of importance is placed on the ability to network. If you don't thrive on going out and meeting a million people, you might end up feeling that you have less of a chance of getting ahead in your career. Also, introverts might hang back in meetings and thus not be perceived as leadership material, even though introverted people frequently make more empathetic managers. Psychologists now believe that social media is a really valuable tool for introverts because it allows them to communicate and even network on their own terms. Even though introverts might keep quiet during meetings, they have several tendencies that actually come in handy in the world of business. They make fewer risky financial decisions, are more persistent when faced with a problem that is easily solvable, and can also be very creative. A lot of the world's great artists, thinkers, and even business people are and were introverts. Albert Einstein, Bill Gates, and J.K. Rowling, to name a few. So in no way does being an introvert doom you into a life in the shadows. Hiring, staying employed, and firing, the first rule of hiring. Although playing hard to get might be cute in the dating world, it won't fly with potential employers. They don't have time to court you, so you had better romance the hell out of them. Competition is stiff, particularly in a tight job market and tough economy, so unless you can sweep someone off his or 5 her feet, unemployed, you will stay. Ideally, you'll be applying for a job that you genuinely think is interesting and exciting. If you're not, Girlboss, then fake it till you make it. The cover letter. A cover letter is your first opportunity to make a first impression on your future boss. Don't write a cover letter all about what you want. What can you do for your future boss? 2. Connect the dots between where you've been, where you are, and where you're trying to go. Spell it out. 3. Don't give so-called constructive criticism. 4. Spell check. Know the difference between there, and there. The resume companies don't need people who just have ideas. We need people who can also execute them. If you've made some shit happen, make sure your resume reflects that this is one of the few places where it's actually good to brag a bit. The job interviews are intense, and unfortunately, there's no one-size-fits-all study guide for breezing through them. You can say all the right things, have all the right experience, and still not be the right fit for a job. There are millions of other unpredictable behind-the-scenes reasons a job does or does not work out. A GIRLBOSS knows that she may not nail it on the first try, and that's okay. Remember to be open and keep your head up when something doesn't work out. However, even the best of us can suffer sweaty armpits and a dry mouth during an interview. Here are a few things to know that will hopefully make it easier. 1. Network. Treat your LinkedIn profile like an online resume. 2. Get real. Research the company and the job itself and spend some time thinking about what you, personally, can bring to the table. Also, be upfront about what you want. Employment is a two-way agreement. 3. Don't be too real. Don't share explicit details about your personal life or previous jobs. Partying with your ex-boss isn't something you should bring up. Keep the job. Go above and beyond. Do tasks that aren't specifically outlined in your job. At the end of the day, we're all here for one reason and one reason only: to make the company succeed. And there will undoubtedly be a day, perhaps every day, when 6. You will have to roll up your sleeves and dive in where you're needed. When a company is growing quickly, there will be times when there are holes. There is a job that needs to be done, and there is no one there to do it. It's the attitude and behavior that will get you ahead. Boundaries are there for a reason. Your boss is not your friend, and if you're the boss, your employees aren't your friends. Firing, as a boss, it is inevitable that this will come up. If you want to be a boss and be treated like a boss, then firing someone is in your boss-size job description. Don't ever try to impress upon the person you're about to fire how hard the situation is for you, because that person is losing his or her job, so it's obviously harder on them. Resist the urge to over-explain or even to apologize. Keep it as short and sweet as you possibly can, because the more personal you try to make it, the more personally your soon-to-be ex-employee is going to take it. However, it doesn't hurt to take a few minutes to put yourself in their shoes and consider how you would want to be treated if you were in that position. And if you both learn from your lessons, neither of you will make the mistakes that led to that situation again. If you're the one being fired, getting fired can be a much-needed wake-up call, a push in the right direction, or an escape route. Or it can just plain suck. But no matter what the details of the situation, how much you learn from it is entirely up to you. Learn from your mistakes. Taking care of your business, there are different kinds of entrepreneurs. There are the ones who start a business because they're educated and choose to, and the ones who do it because it is really the only option. Author Malcolm Gladwell believes that one can be an expert at something after putting in 10,000 hours of practice. Needless to say, sometimes waiting to finish a business plan or waiting for investors to validate ideas may never come. Just going for it can be much more rewarding in some cases. Business plans are just a starting point. The best entrepreneurs know to listen along the way and adjust things, including their business plan. 7. Starting a business is risky no matter which way you look at it, but it's much riskier when you have a ton of overhead and money, guys anxiously waiting to earn a return on their investment. Starting a business also takes a lot of personal sacrifice. If you start a business, expect that you're probably going to be broke for a long time. If you're not broke, consider yourself broke, because as we discussed earlier, It is short-sighted to pay yourself a big salary too early. Dream big all you want. That's what this entire book is about. But know that the first step toward those dreams is probably going to be a small one. The chances, what are the chances? That's a good question. More than 500,000 new businesses are started per month in the United States alone, but 80% of them will fail within the first year and a half. So, what are the chances that yours would still be alive and thriving 7 years later? You could do some calculations, plot some graphs, and determine the exact probability. The answer, no matter how you spin it, is that the chances were that of a snowball in hell. That's the number one thing, perhaps even the only thing, you can absolutely count on. Regardless of what your dreams are, if you listen only to those around you, the chances of your dreams coming true are very small. The world loves to tell you how difficult things are, and the world's not exaggerating. And that's a real bummer. But here's the real shit. You can't have it all, and nothing comes easy. You will make sacrifices and compromises, get let down and let other people down, fail and start over, break some hearts, take some names, and learn to pick up and continue when your own heart gets broken. But difficult doesn't mean impossible, and out of the bajillions of things in this universe that you can't control, what you can control is how hard you try, and if or when to pack it in.